Okay, so we know we like a little visual demonstration. I'm putting this little dot here in the A pillar, representing the energy of the speaker pod. I have a three-way speaker pod, and my 8-inch is emanating from the sort of top front of the door card. That's good that it rendered that as a fuzz and a smaller sphere. I'll make it a bit smaller for me. That's high, mid, treble, and low mid there. It represented as two balls. And if you're the observer here, and the white dot, the common theory is you draw a straight line to what you're hearing, and that path somehow represents a measurable intensity that you experience, and that's the only thing you need to measure. So if you did the other side of the car, you just get some sort of intensity information from the other side, but you keep it as the observer of things, like that. What a great update speech for the fancy graphic. What a fancy graphic. Yeah, so that's your observer, the intensity, and the angle has a end position and a start position. It transverses through space in a totally different way. So sound intensity is directional, and microphones are omnidirectional. And sound power is another form of energy which is omnidirectional. So it has no direction. So it's not actually omni, it's all basically describing the source. And you get to describe your intensity through mathematical formula. So one of the ways to discover the intensity of something is to observe it from many points at equal distance, in a spherical distance, acoustic power. And there's a formula that you can derive if you type in all the measured points around the sphere, and the distance to the object. You can know its acoustic power, and that doesn't matter if you measure from 1 meter or 2 meters. This mathematical formula can tell you the acoustic power. What I did when I sat there the first time, I said, well, I'm only going to be able to wave this microphone around my speaker group because the seat was one obstruction and my face was another obstruction, so I just decided to create a radius to my face, and then mapped out the radius and measured that. And so in my software, which was not a mathematical equation, was actually just a relevant spectral energy component. And then I just decided, just because I didn't have the appropriate mathematical equation going on, that I'd just use the same spherical size to measure the other side. And that way I'd have more things in common with the two measurements. The geometry is sort of symmetrical, and I didn't measure from my face to the other side with that length in mind. I just measured as if not as if I was sitting on the edge, but you get my drift. I measured the source from the same distance, the source being the left hand speaker group, and the distance being equal to the other sphere that I measured. So at the end of the day, I would end up with two sets of spectral acoustic power graphs or plots that described the spectral makeup emanating from 2 points in the cabin, and I knew about the acoustic power of those energy devices, which in this case is a four-way setup. And the fact that I had the sub in the back seat playing the whole time is, well, a little less scientific at this point, but we rolled with that, and we got pretty good results anyway. So then the observer in the equation is the curious observer, the driver. I said, well, if I went from right-hand speaker group to my chin, why didn't I go left-hand speaker group to my chinny chin chin? And that sphere is literally like twice, at least twice, 3 times almost the radius, and possibly the volume, I don't know, 10 times roughly. I'm not a off the head kind of mathematical guy, but a lot more than twice. That would be A, hard to measure, B, still, if you could go around the whole circumference, it would still be scientifically, mathematically describing the energy properly, but sort of your balance of in sphere versus out sphere has changed. Because don't forget, when you have your microphone touching a point on the sphere, just anywhere, that microphone is also reading, because it's omnidirectional, it's also reading backwards. So yeah, your makeup of that reading is measuring in the sphere and out the sphere. So that left-hand component A getting less of the outer done, and B making a different ratio to in and out a sphere to compare with your right-hand measurement. So I'm sort of thinking that logically it's going to yield a less perfect center, and it almost, in my view, it's quicker to make a video about this subject than to measure it, but I don't know, that's just me. 10 minutes, whatever. But, I might try a bigger one. At the very start of this, I did start measuring these spheres a little bit smaller. I did actually have 2 sets. I had a small sphere versus big sphere. And, I couldn't really tell the difference, because at the time I was just, germinating this idea. But the first proper test I did measured was to my chin from speaker pod top, and there will be future measurements. Me doing one measurement for top, and then I'll be doing for each one in my pod, and then I'll be doing a measurement for my 8s, and then not doing an overall spectrum for the side, and then also doing a spectrum for the side. So it's like doing doubles, but I think the only benefit there would be if I measured left to right tweeter, waiting for that graphics update for you, left to right tweeter, and then in my software I can just calculate difference in tweeters using spherical energy matching rather than stretching each to a perfect crossover target. I like to make them sound the same. So let's just say, hypothetically, the left is hotter in, let's just say, 6K, and the right is hotter in 5.5K. I would just make, it's a matching issue, it's really easy for me. One would turn one up, to match the other one by half, and the other one would turn one down to match the other one by half, and they'd be the same. But that's a lot of extra dooby for you. And we'll see what measurement I actually end up doing later